Hello. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we shall begin. My name's Tom Barclay Matchett. I am the London Storyteller. I share the stories of the people, places and personalities that have made London the finest city on earth. Owing to the current situation, I'm kind of grounded here in my apartment in Crouch End and trying to find something to bust the boredom. I decided to bring out the books and do some readings for you. And the first one that I'm going to start with is this. It's Samuel Pepys's diary, originally recorded between 1660 and 1670. Pepys was a remarkable man. Many people wonder why he was never knighted, but he was later a member of Parliament. In this part of his life, he is a civil servant working for the Naval Office. He records in his diary the most occasionally rather fragrant details of his personal dealings, but also his encounters with great figures of the age. We have people like Charles II, who was newly restored in 1660 at the outset of the book. James, the future James II, James, Duke of York, who New York was named after, and not the Pizza Express loving Duke of York of today, naturally. Far more scandalous in many respects. And in his diaries, he records some of the most turbulent events of that period, some of the most formative events of London's history. We have the restoration of Charles II, the Great Plague of 1665, the Great Fire of London in 1666. I hope that you will enjoy this. We're going to dive in from the 19th of March, 1665. I've picked this period as, of course, there are a few parallels with the troubles that we face at present, although I would add far more egregious in their nature. And I guess that offers us some solace. As we know, London rose to become the greatest city in the world. These things were beaten, and 1665 documents the year of the Great Plague. Well, it was the last time that the bubonic plague ravaged London. So, but this part, we'll start from the 19th of March. This is some time before. Let us settle in, relax, and I shall begin. The Diary of Samuel Pepys. 19th of March, 1665. Lord's Day. Mr. Povey and I in his coach to Hyde Park, being the first day of the tour there, where many brave ladies, among others Castlemaine, lay impudently on her back in her coach, asleep with her mouth open. There was also my Lady Carnegie, once my Lady Hambleton, that is said to have given the Duke a clap upon his first coming over. Here I saw Sir J. Lawson's daughter and husband, a fine couple, and also Mr. Southwell and his new lady, very pretty. Thence back putting in Dr. Hawes, where I saw his lady, a very fine woman. So home, and thither by my desire comes by and by Creed and lay with me, very merry, and full of discourse what to do tomorrow, and the conveniences that will attend my having of this place, and I do think they may be very great. 20th of March, 1665. Up, and Creed and I, and had Mr. Povey's coach sent for us, and we to his house, where we did some business in order to the work of this day. Povey and I to my Lord Sandwich, who tells me that the Duke is not only a friend to the business, but to me, in terms of the greatest love and respect and value of me that can be thought, which overjoys me. The Duke did direct Secretary Bennet, who was there to declare his mind to the committee, that he approves of me for treasurer. And with a character of me to be a man whose industry and discretion he would trust as soon as any man in England, and did the like to my Lord Sandwich, so to Whitehall, to the committee of Tangier, And there I received their constitution under all hands presently, so that I am already confirmed their treasurer, and put into a condition of striking of tallies, and all without one harsh word or word of dislike, but quite the contrary, which is a very good fortune beyond all imagination. Here we rose, Povey and I, and Creed and I, all full of joy, and thence to dinner, they setting me down at Sir John Winter's by promise, and dined with him. And a worthy fine man he seems to be, and of good discourse. Our business was to discourse of supplying the king with iron for anchors, if it can be judged good enough. And a fine thing it is to see myself come to the condition of being received by persons of this rank, he being and having long been secretary to the Queen Mother. 22nd of March, 1665. To Mr. Povey's, and with Creed to the Change, and to my house. But it being washing day, dined not at home, but I took him, I being invited, to Mr. Hubland's the merchant, where Sir William Petty and abundance of the most ingenious men, owners and freighters of the Experiment, now going with their 2 bodies to sea. Most excellent discourse. Among others, Sir William Petty did tell me that in good earnest he hath in his will left such parts of his estate that could invent such and such things, as among others, that could discover truly the way of milk coming into the breasts of a woman, and he that could invent proper characters to express to another the mixture of relishes and tastes, and says to him that he who invents gold, he gives nothing for the philosopher's stone. For, says he, they that find out that will be able to pay themselves. But, says he, by this means it is better than to give a lecture. For here my executors that must part with this will be sure to be well convinced of the invention before they do part with their money. Then to Gresham College, and there did see a kitlin killed almost quite, but that we could not quite kill her, with sucking away the air out of a receiver wherein she was put, and then the air being let in upon her revives her immediately. Nay, and this air is to be made by putting together a liqueur, and some body that firmaments, the steam of that doth do the work. Thence home, and thence to Whitehall, where the house was full, of dukes going tomorrow, and thence to St. James, wherein these things fell out. 1. I saw the Duke, kissed his hand, and his most kind expressions of his value and opinion of me, which comforted me above all things in the world. 2. The like from Mr. Coventry, most heartily and affectionately. 3. Saw, among other fine ladies, Mrs. Middleton, a very great beauty I never knew or heard of before. 4. I saw Waller the poet, whom I never saw before. So, very late, by coach home with William Penn, who was there, to supper and to bed. With my heart at rest and my head very busy, thinking of my several matters now on foot, the new comfort of my old navy business and the new one of my employment on Tangier. 23rd of March, 1665. Up unto my Lord Sandwich, who follows the Duke this day by water down to the Hope, where the Prince lies. He received me, busy as he was, with mighty kindness and joy at my promotions, telling me most largely how the Duke hath expressed on all occasions his good opinions of my service and love for me. I paid my thanks and acknowledgement to him, and so back home. 27th of March, 1665. Up betimes to Mr. Pepys, and there did sign and seal my agreement with him about my place of being treasurer for Tangier, it being the greatest part of it, drawn out of the draft of his own drawing up. Only I have added something here and there in favour of myself. Thence to the Duke of Albemarle. The first time that the officers of the Navy had waited upon him since the Duke of York's going, who hath deputed him to be admiral in his absence, and I find him a quiet, heavy man that will help business when he can hinder nothing, and am very well pleased with our attendance on him. I'll be sharing more in the coming days. Our next chapter will be April, and this is where things begin to get interesting in the period of 1665. So I hope that this has either helped you bust your boredom or helped you drift off into the hallowed steppes of Bedfordshire. In the meantime, please do look after yourselves, and best wishes to everyone in London, Britain, and around the world. From me, the London Storyteller, take care. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Please don't forget to add your comments, like and subscribe. Cheerio!